Alright everyone, so to all of the trust the planners that keep loading into my messages to complain that something that I said insinuated that Beijing Biden was going to win, Trump has essentially the other day just conceded and called for calm. Now, of course, he was urged strongly by his inner circle to do this in the wake of the Capitol riot. Some people are concerned about this, like, oh, he threw people under the bus. No, he's not trying to cover for his ass. The idea that Trump wants violent revolution was never true. That's all MSM propaganda, and you're playing right into it by entertaining this fantasy of him as a revolutionary. Donald Trump was elected as a mild reformer. I said it in 2015, and I'm saying it now. He is a big-time dreamer. He has bright ideas. He's a populist, and he believes in America first. I genuinely think that he believes in that. But he's not a god emperor, and he's not a violent revolutionary. He was not secretly talking to you on 4chan boards behind a double encrypted wall of silence. Mike Pence is not a time traveler. That's just the truth. There are people who I think took the meme a little bit too seriously. 1900, the last president. Yeah, it's definitely prescient. Why don't you go back and reread that? Not only is there a Pence in there, but it basically beckons the end of the Republic under conditions not entirely dissimilar to what we're seeing at this very moment. The fact that the author invoked time travel and had another book about Baron Trump's adventures is very, very strange to me. I do believe in the occult for a reason. But that being said, Donald Trump has effectively conceded. You're about to see a Dempression. I hate to tell you, the Democrats are about to run roughshod over the country. As always, they will overstretch and be punished for this. It's not the end of the Republic. But dark times are ahead. Essentially what we hoped would be morning in America again, with Trump reigning over an expanding economy, which for the first 3 years, the economy was expanding, things were getting a lot better in the country. What we had hoped for turned out to be an Indian summer instead of morning in America again. Now we slip back into winter for a while. But spring always comes. Ragnarok is just the story of the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. When people talk about doomsday, when Westerners talk about doomsday and Armageddon and stuff, they always get it wrong by thinking time is a line that at some point is cut off completely. It has an end. It doesn't have an end. It cycles around forever. Each cycle is a little bit different, but they all follow the same basic formulaic plot. Same as it ever was and always shall be, until the time in which mankind is completely wiped off the face of the earth by an asteroid or a supervolcanic eruption or a nuclear war or space rabies or something. Trump has effectively conceded. The people that up until yesterday were still talking to me regularly and saying, well, if you just trust the plan, Rudy Giuliani has the Kraken. Lin Wood secretly has CIA tapes showing election shenanigans or something. None of these things were ever true. This was essentially you played into the hands of the people that you were fighting against by getting distracted by shiny tinfoil instead of focusing on the real situation. Trump wanted mild and incremental reform, and he got it, by the way. Donald Trump is the most successful single-term president in U.S. history. It doesn't matter if they fucking remove him from office. That'll just prove that the establishment's full of shit at this point. It'll prove that the system's rigged by a bunch of multi-billionaires. That a bunch of rich, sleazy multinationalists control our political system. It'll be very revealing if they remove him from office. By the way, I expect he would resign if he thought there was an actual threat of that. He'd step down. Technically, Mike Pence would be president for a couple weeks. Wouldn't that be funny? That would make Beijing Biden number 47, right? I think Trump's 45. So Mike Pence technically would be president. Maybe he'd step down too. Maybe we'd have two presidents in a row. Nancy Pelosi would take office. Wouldn't that be funny? President Nancy Pelosi for a week. She gets to be the first female president. In fact, it would be hilarious because it would deny that title to Kamala Harris. I think that they're afraid that that'll happen. I think they promised Kamala Harris the glass ceiling breakage in order to get her on board as the asterisk first vice presidential candidate. But Trump has conceded. Now, let your illusions die at this point. Again, they were always nutty anyway. There was never any behind-the-scenes secret force of Trump-loyal generals and stuff ready to stage a de facto coup. That's not Trump. That was MSM propaganda that people unwittingly swallowed despite supporting Trump. And to be entirely honest, Trump never fully dissuaded these people from that belief, which became problematic. He probably should have done that. I think he was worried that it would depress his core support. I think he's wrong. I think he made a tactical error in that. I think that he should have focused on people who were, not nuts. Now, that's not to say that I can't understand why people are angry, why they storm the Capitol, why at the moment they're completely despondent and black-pilled, and it's a powder keg situation. I do understand them. But the idea that it was ever helpful to spend hours and hours on a forum looking at Q posts, as opposed to getting out and registering people to vote, as opposed to getting out and counter-protesting at leftist rallies, as opposed to running for office, doing something meaningful to improve your own lives, your own economic situation in the lead up to a potential Beijing-Biden depression. I warned against it. I told people, begin preparing. Don't wait until the last minute. You know, it's like when people didn't get on Alt-Tech. There are so many creators. I shudder to think of this. There are so many content creators that I like, that I watch, that are probably going to get purged off mainline tech, and they haven't done anything to popularize their other platforms. Their core audience doesn't even know they're on BitChute or Odyssey or something. Nobody knows they have a Gab unless they're part of that core usage base. It's going to be a bloodbath. Most of these people will quit. They'll be knocked on their ass. I warned you in 2016 that the purge was coming. They just needed an excuse. They've got it now. I'm set. I'm uncensorable. I branched out very, very early and have the dominant audience on BitChute among other platforms. Really, really sad for these people. This is sort of an omnibus video. Trump effectively on January 20th will be out of office. He could get 25th and removed before then. He might resign. It is possible that you're going to see him resign. He might not even have to face down the gauntlet of the 25th Amendment. He's already lost Betsy DeVos, and I can't remember, 2 cabinet members have already resigned, probably because they don't want to invoke. They feel conflicted. They're looking at I realize that it's bullshit MSM propaganda. Look, I realize that Donald Trump is not responsible for the Capitol riot. He's not. He didn't call for a riot. He got people there for a peaceful protest and then told them to go home with peace in their hearts. He didn't call for violence in any meaningful way, shape, or form. I understand that. I understand that the people who broke into the Capitol, by and large, were being peaceful and even overtly respectful. I understand that the MSM is using propaganda right now to try to get people to believe that they were a bunch of barbaric terrorists, while they completely exonerated and even openly condoned and applauded Antifa and BLM thugs that have been actually rioting and attacking random people for 7 months. I realize all these things. Please let me point out one thing that I've said over and over, and people don't pay it heed because they're just fucking too stupid, I guess, to understand this very basic concept. Perception over reality. It doesn't matter what the reality is in politics. It doesn't matter that we're being oppressed by the U.S. government if nothing is done about it. Sitting there and looking at QAnon posts is not going to help. It doesn't matter. LARPing is not helpful. It's not good. It might be entertaining. If times are good, it's perfectly fine. You can enjoy things. Oh, well, you hear about this new theory that space squirrels run the U.S. government from UFOs. That's fine under normal circumstances. You're about to see an economic downturn and tyranny in the United States. Yes, Beijing Biden will be an authoritarian president. Well, really, he won't be calling the shots. To be clear, his handlers will. They're the sleazy multi-billionaires that have no problem with enslaving 12-year-olds in China. What do you think they'll do to you, dude? Of course there's going to be an economic downturn. Of course your stocks will go down. I hope that you've got crypto, because that'll probably go up if the government doesn't attack it more and try to ban it, which they probably will. They're openly fomenting the idea of creating a national cryptocurrency, which is about the most strange, crazy idea in all of human history. Ruin the whole concept. The whole point of it is that it's sort of like a semi-black market fiat that allows you to escape censorship. We'll be censored. A lot of you will be purged. There's, what was it? Some Twitter user said he lost like 5,000 followers the other night. I lost several hundred. I lost, I think, about 300 followers on Twitter as they purged accounts that were speaking out in support of the Capitol rioters. About 300 people. By the way, I guess my audience isn't that unfathomably extremist, because that's not many people, since I have almost 100,000 people following me there. I bet I'll have 0 by the end of the year. Either because I'll have deleted my Twitter account and rage at the fact that they just censor everything interesting to talk about, or they outright fucking ban me. And by the way, I don't care. The only mainline platform that I kind of care about is YouTube, and that's because I've been there for so long mostly. Because for a long time I was just a YouTuber. I considered myself to be part of a group on YouTube. Yeah, thankfully I broke that illusion early enough so that I became dominant on alt tech. So yeah, Go ahead and keep trusting the plan and thinking, oh, well, it's not January 20th yet. Mike Pence out of nowhere. He's going to arrest the insurrectionaries. No, it's not going to happen, dude. I hate to tell you this, but you've been living a delusion. Mostly, I just gave up even bothering to point this out to people because they were so enraptured by it, it's like they're not going to understand. You gobbled down propaganda that came from the left. They were very, very glad when you began LARPing and not going out to petition. When you sat there talking about how time travelers were going to save you from tech censorship, you weren't building an alt-tech presence. When you were sitting there talking about how the oligarchs were going to be destroyed by the righteous forces of your god emperor because of Twitter or something, you weren't spending your time on self-improvement. You weren't spending you didn't vote maybe. You didn't register. You didn't get bored. You were too busy, looking at LARP posts or something. Basically, the left managed to win the round, the battle, certainly not the war, trust me, not even in the intermediate term, through the inaction of people that were hoodwinked by LARPing, essentially. That's basically the long and short of it. And again, some people will say, oh, well, no, that was all real, it's just Trump gave up or something. No, he's not giving up. I do still expect him to be a force within politics. The fact that he's going to get banned, it looks like, on all of mainline tech, number one, will be very helpful for alt tech. Odyssey just skyrocketed. BitChute is now too. I think I gained 1,000 subscribers there overnight as people fled YouTube. People are seeing the writing on the wall, and there are a few leftists out there, by the way, who recognize the situation for what it is. Eyes are beginning to open. The curtain has been pulled back. That much is clear. It's just a matter of taking people's blinders off so they can see the blank concrete behind the curtain. Behind the kabuki theater that they've been watching now for decades. That's what needs to be done. Focus on your local elections, fucking self-improve, fucking getting demoralized isn't going to help you or anybody else. Prepare for a dempression for at least the intermediate economic term, a few years. Prepare for a dempression. Prepare for the very real likelihood that a lot of the things you watch online will be disappeared Stasi style. And get ready for corporations to gobble up more money using the political system they, by the way, have by and large bought and sold. That's about all. Peace out.